Hi there, and thanks for joining us. You're listening to the Pension Life podcast, written by Angie Brooks, read by Matt Blackie.
Pension scam investments. The world of pension and investment scams is driven by commissions on investments. The scammer's strategy is to get pensions away from reputable pension providers and into a SIP, a SAS, or a QROPS. This means that the scammers have control over where the funds are invested. Once transferred, the victim's retirement funds are controlled by the scammers and invested in unsuitable, unregulated investments, which pay fat introduction commissions. So let's look at the different types and see how they could or should fit into a pension portfolio. Funds. Funds come in all shapes and sizes. As long as they are regulated, fit the investor's risk profile, and managed by qualified investment professionals, they can be okay. Investors must not be locked into funds and charges must be transparent. There must be no hidden commissions. Bonds. Bonds are unregulated term loans with supposed guaranteed returns or interest. They are falsely sold to victims as being asset-backed with high returns. They also pay high commissions to the scammers. Bonds, or mini-bonds, are entirely unsuitable, risky, and illiquid for retail investors. Many of them are simply scams. Structured notes. These are complex derivatives which are only suitable for professional investors. Structured notes pay hefty commissions to the scammers, who use them to churn their victims' funds to generate the maximum amount of hidden commissions. Property. Residential property cannot form part of a pension's assets. However, commercial and agricultural property are acceptable. But property is illiquid. It should only be used with extreme caution as part of a diverse portfolio of assets. Property also typically attracts high commissions and is often used and abused by scammers. The key to a sensible pension portfolio is to use a licensed and qualified advisor. Such professionals would only charge for advice and should not earn commission on investments. If he receives commission from investment providers, he isn't independent and shouldn't be giving advice at all. So to understand the whole pension package, let's look at what each stage in the process consists of. A. The transfer out of the existing pension scheme. B. The transfer into the new pension scheme. C. The investment of the pension portfolio. The past decade is littered with tragic examples of the whole package being nothing but a scam. This is true even when one component part is legitimate. Every UK pension scheme member has a statutory right to a transfer from one HMRC registered scheme to another. However, this can often be a terrible move if it results in the investments falling under the control of a commission-hungry scammer. Here are some examples. Capita Oak. Bogus occupational scheme set up by a squad of known serial scammers with a mythical sponsoring employer. 300 victims' pensions transferred into the scheme and all £10 million of their funds invested in Store First. The scammers behind the scheme earned up to 46% in commission. Carey Pensions. Hundreds of victims' pensions were transferred to the Carey SIP purely so their funds could be invested in Store First. With the same result as in the Capita Oak scam, victims found that their promised guaranteed returns of 16% did not materialise. One victim, Russell Adams, took his case to the Court of Appeal and Carey must now reinstate his original pension. London Quantum. Another bogus occupational scheme run by the notorious Stephen Ward. 100 victims were scammed into investing their funds in high commission, unregulated funds and bonds. These included Quantum PYX, Dolphin Trust, Park First, Colonial Capital Loan Notes, the Resort Group, and the Reforestation Group. GFS Hong Kong Curops. A group of known scammers advised hundreds of UK residents to transfer their pensions. Funds were invested in worthless, high commission, unregulated funds such as Blackmore Global, Swan, GRRE, Granite, and Christiansen Property Capital. Continental Wealth Management. 1,000 British expats were defrauded out of £100 million worth of pensions and life savings. Victims' funds were invested in high-risk, high-commission, structured notes, only suitable for professional investors. Client signatures were forged on investment dealing instructions. What little remained of the victims' funds were damaged by the high fees on the illegally sold insurance bonds, Quilter, Upmost, and SEB. The CWM crew, plus Stephen Ward of Premier Pension Solutions, are now facing criminal charges of fraud and forgery in Spain. A pension scheme is a bit like a store pod. It is a container, like a cardboard box or shopping trolley. The scheme, or the pod, is harmless. The harmful ingredient is the scammer. Fill a shopping trolley with junk foods and you have a recipe for disease. Fill a store pod with flammable chemicals and you risk an explosion. Fill a pension scheme with toxic investments and you guarantee poverty in retirement.
And that's it for today's Pension Life podcast. Thanks for listening. For more information, please visit www.pension-life.com.